And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, and boy, I bet you didn't see this coming. I'm excited for you guys to be with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. We're not on Amazon today. We're going to give Amazon a break. Amazon's been busy lately. So we did want to do this, though, for our social media, and also this will be for our podcast as well for Conversations Live. I'm excited to welcome back Earl Hall to our broadcast. Hey, Leon, good to see you over there on Instagram. You guys are already coming in over there. Earl Hall, for those who don't know, he has a lot of hats that he wears. He's a voiceover artist and coach. He's a best-selling author. He's also an individual who you guys have seen, of course, in the teaching space, but also someone who's been very busy with Earl Hall Studio as well. Well, Earl and I have not had a conversation on this platform for about a year. I actually went and checked, Earl. It was literally August of 2023.
Wow.
The last time that you were on with us. So we're going to catch up with Earl, see what he's been up to, have a conversation I think that hopefully will be beneficial for everyone when they're thinking about their own goals, their own dreams, their aspirations, their life. And what do you do when you have to make changes? We're going to talk about that a bit as well and let you guys know what's coming up next for Earl too. Jacqueline, hello to you. Good to be able to see you.
Hey, Jacqueline. Hey.
Earl, welcome back to the program, man.
Yeah, welcome. It's I'll wait till after the show to say if it's good to be back. And we'll got
Oh, come on. You're among a friendly audience here.
Yes, absolutely. But thank you for having me on. Definitely appreciate you bringing me on. Hey, Melissa in his house over here. So yeah, this should be one for the books, I'm sure.
Well, Jacqueline says, see,
it's starting already. Yeah.
Jacqueline, it was not me. See how I get drawn into these things. I haven't said anything, Jacqueline. I've just been responding. I just ask questions.
I love how you play the innocent. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I just ask questions here. So, Earl, let me start off with what may seem like a basic question. But I think it's an important question for us as we start here. It is September the 20th, 2024. How is Earl Hall today?
Today, Earl Hall is very good. Gone through a lot of challenges this year, actually. And as we talked last week, just coming out of those challenges has really been good. Obviously, when you're coming out of certain challenges, whether it's business-wise, financial, personal, whatever that is, but actually seeing light at the end of the tunnel and actually traveling down that tunnel to get to it is very, very good.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Jacqueline, don't add to the hype.
So address what is, I think, an important elephant in the room to talk about. So Earl and I, it's very obvious that, anyone who has known me any length of time, especially over the past 10 years, have known that Earl and I have been very close friends. We've worked on projects together. All of that changed, though, the end of last year. And in fact, I think, Earl, it's important for us to let our audience know, it was actually just 3 weeks ago that we talked for the first time in a year. So I wanted to address that because I've never publicly addressed it. Anyone who knows me knows my MO is if something's going on with a situation, I don't publicly talk about things.
Yeah, neither of us do.
Yeah. And so but it was obvious. I would have people ask me from time to time, hey, where's Earl? What's going on with Earl? And I would honestly say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I did not know. So Earl, we had a very close friendship. We worked on a show together, did all kinds of things together. That did change last year. I'm thankful that we are communicating now, that we're sharing this space today. And I said to Earl, and I think Earl said the same thing, it felt like things just kind of picked up.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important that we address that. So I wanted to give you the floor to kind of talk to us, take us back to, you last on this program in August 2023. Talk to us about August 2023 and September 2024. What was going on in your life and with us from your perspective?
Well, it all started when you slapped me in the face on stage. And
I think you got the wrong. Okay, that you.
No, but seriously though, like at that time, there were a lot of challenges in my life. And sometimes when you have these certain challenges, and this was personal, this was business wise, just a lot of things going on at the time. And basically, you and I stopped talking. Like I stopped calling you, you didn't call me. We communicated once or twice through Facebook Messenger, but I let it go. I was dealing with a lot and didn't want to talk about it, quite honestly. Just didn't want to talk about it. So usually we talk pretty much every freaking day. Up until that
Right.
time.
Right.
And yeah, a couple times a day. And it was one of those things I remember saying to myself, well, whoever, and it wasn't just you, it's like whoever isn't calling me must not care. That was my opinion. Whoever's not reaching out does not care, from people that were in a very small circle that I have. I mean, extremely small, only a few people in that circle. And thought about you a lot from time to time. We had the conversation and you were saying, I thought about you at times too. But it was funny and you were the one that reached out a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't me. You were the one that called. And I picked up, when we finally connected, because I wasn't available, then you weren't available. Anyway, when you called me back, I answered the phone and I was walking by my wife and I said, it's Cyrus. And she's like, and because she knows how close we were and still are, right? And so that conversation that we had just led to up to including everything that's going on now. But nothing happened, right? We talked about that. It's like nothing happened. Like there was no argument, there was no nothing. It's just the communication stopped, and that was it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and thank you for being transparent about that. So, from my perspective, you know, everything Earl, I agree with everything Earl just said, with one caveat. So, and
Of
Earl and
course, you've got
I,
to.
yeah, Earl and I've talked about this. So, it's true we talked all the time.
Mhm.
However, because I always felt like my schedule is more rigid,
Mhm.
his was more fluid. We would talk in the morning. He was out maybe getting coffee or taking his son to school or something.
Mhm.
So yes, he didn't normally call, but
Yes.
there were, of course, through in the day there would be times I would call. Sometimes he'd be available. Sometimes he wouldn't. When this morning calls stopped, that's when I knew something was going on,
Mhm.
because that was what we call the routine,
Yeah.
right? And so I let it go, for a while. Again, not really knowing what was going on, but I thought, maybe he's busy. I never go negative because it's just not my mo.
Yeah.
But I did reach out to Earl a couple times on Facebook in Messenger and say, hey, just checking on, make sure you're good. And you told me
Mhm.
you were good.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, he's saying he's good, but his routine is not showing he's good.
Mhm.
And in the typical Cyrus Webb way, I'll be very transparent about this. The last message I sent Earl was, "Hey, last time I checked in with you, you said you were good. I was
You're
just
reading it off of the screen, aren't you? You're literally
no,
looking at the
no,
message.
no,
You're
no,
not
no. I'm
okay.
really not. I'm really not. But if y'all want to see the screenshot, let me know." And you said, "Yes, you're good." So I don't. Again, I'm not a person. Well, there's two things about me.
Mhm.
One, I don't push. If someone tells me something, I let it. I figure, okay, if there is something, they'll talk about when they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people going to push. But the second thing is, I don't doubt what someone tells me unless I have a reason not to. So I'm figuring,
Mhm.
okay, well, something's going on. It's obvious he's changing things for himself. So I just kind of let it go the way it went. Um, that was my thought. Now, again, like Earl said, and I'm so glad you said this, and I think this is a great thing for the audience watching to get from this. One of the things,
Mhm.
there was no fight.
Mhm.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
So, but I do have to ask. You and I've talked briefly about this, but because I think this could help other friends, Earl. Why did you just said things were not going well? Why didn't you tell me that?
I didn't want to. It was a place where I was where, I mean, I'll be next month, I'll be 55 years old.
Mhm.
And there was a place where I was at just turning 54 that I really wasn't happy with where I was
Mhm.
in a lot of different areas. And I didn't feel like talking about that at nauseum or at all, quite honestly. I just didn't feel like it. And I didn't discuss it with anyone. Anyone. I just kept to myself. But as you know, I'm a loner anyway, you know. Um, just enjoy my own company, I guess. I don't have to be going out or going to different places or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm satisfied sitting here watching Seinfeld and Family Guy, you know. So it's kind of it's kind of like that. But to the point of friendships and friends and things of that nature, I think that when people are going through some things, and I was talking to a therapist going through at the time as well.
Okay.
So that helped tremendously. Um, but it's one of those things where if you're not right and you know you're not right with yourself, you
Mhm.
need to talk to someone.
Got you.
You need to, and I'm so glad I had my therapist, you know, in my corner with that and was able to express things. Sometimes you can say things to people that don't know you because they don't judge you or don't have any past history. I mean, and can just really listen and maybe give a little bit of advice you know, a little bit of advice sometimes, you know, with that. So that was my own journey just going through that. But what is so funny, Cyrus, is that you and I hadn't talked for a year. And when we started talking again, it was like no time had passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just picked it. It's like, really?
Yeah.
We didn't talk for a year? Uh,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know,
it is, but see, that to me was this also the strangeness of it.
yeah.
Because again, like we both have said, and for those who are just coming in, hey Ed, good to be to see you over there on Instagram. Sheila, hello to you. Good to be to see you as well. For those who are
Mhm.
just tuning in, Scribes and Vibes, hello to you on IG. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm here with Earl Hall. He is a voiceover actor and coach. He's the founder of Earl Hall Studio, as well as media personality and best-selling author himself. We're talking about the past year, about
Mhm.
Earl's journey, about our journey as friends
Yeah.
and colleagues, because we also co-hosted a program together as well, and also kind of what led us to where we are today. So you're exactly right, and I think that's why when I talked to you about having this conversation, I feel like it needed to be public because I
Yeah.
felt like if anyone saw us doing anything together, what I did not want is for my audience to wonder what happened, you
Right.
know. And I want to be very clear, I'm not in any way blaming Earl.
Mhm.
And I think that's important to say too. Hey, Angela, good to see you over there on IG. I'm not blaming Earl. Or like you heard Earl said, he was going through some things. He was getting what he needed. The only thing, my only regret about the whole thing, Earl, honestly, just talking to you as a friend and a colleague,
Mhm.
is that I would have thought, our history together, I would have at least gotten to know, hey, you're going to take some time for you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I mean, it was the abruptness of it that caused the confusion on my part. But me being the person I am, me, I keep moving things forward.
Of
You know what I'm
course.
saying? I mean, so it's like, it was kind of weird for me in a sense because I don't know how not to go for but there was a question of okay, what? Because I knew nothing had happened. I mean, I knew there hadn't been an argument. I knew none of that. I mean, not that
Mhm.
I would ever say anything that would be disagreeable.
Oh, no. Oh, of
You know what I'm saying? I
course
just,
not.
of course, people know that.
Yeah.
Now on your end,
Melissa, where are you?
you're probably laughing somewhere, or she may be popping popcorn. Who knows what she's doing?
Yeah.
Oh, look, she may be popping some popcorn. I don't know, but that was the only thing for me that was the weirdest because
Mhm.
when someone asked me where were you? What I honestly had nothing to tell. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
You know, that was my only thing. But I do want to say why I called you. I think that's also important for people who have had friends, because I will say, and this may sound odd, I'm not saying everyone should do what I did. I did what I did because I had texted Earl some months ago, a few months ago, and just because I was thinking about him, and I said, "Hey, just wanted to text you, let you know I was thinking about you." Um, there was nothing more than that. I mean, he said, you know, great to be thought of. I said, "You're good." He said, "Yeah," and that was it. But the day I called Earl, I was thinking to myself, I said, "You know what? I'm just going to try to call him." And you came to my mind and said, "I'm going to try to call him." And like you said, we went through and we eventually talked. And when we talked, there was not really even a big explanation needed. Now, I'm not saying, well, the reason why I said I wouldn't say everyone should do that, because everyone's situation may not be like Earl and mine was.
Mhm.
There may have been something that happened in your situation with a friend that may have warranted more conversation. In our situation, there really wasn't. I mean, because again, nothing had happened, you know, um, and neither one of us were talking about each other because there was nothing to talk about. I mean, again, that was the whole thing. There was nothing. So it was very. So what do you think? You mentioned talking to a therapist. I want to talk about Earl Halstead because it wasn't just our friendship.
Yeah.
You shut down everything.
Everything.
How difficult was that?
It was difficult for a moment, and then the longer I was out, the easier it became. To stay out, right? To just drop off social media. To just, I mean, it was months before I sat in the studio space.
Mm.
Right. This is the first this is the first on camera interview I've done probably since with you,
Yeah.
last year or whatever. So that was difficult, but it's something that has always been so much a part of me that I knew I couldn't not come back. Right. It's like it was something that's there, and I am coming back.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're going through things, and just from a business perspective, on the business side, that are extremely tough. I mean, my lifestyle hasn't changed, thank God. Still have the same lifestyle, you know, have come out of my financial difficulties and things of that nature. But for a moment, it was tough, where I questioned my own value. I questioned my own worth. Um, you know, questioned a lot of things, about myself. And just through, I guess, just being who I am, just I had to say, okay, it's time to stop the BS. It's time to be Earl again.
Mm.
It's just that time. But what I went through was extremely hard.
Yeah. Well, these next series of questions won't be Cyrus the friend talking to you. This will be just Cyrus the interviewer. Because I think, with that being said, I think with anyone who has been known in business
Hmm.
and then they disappear, it
Hmm.
is an obvious, thing to wonder, okay, what happened? Um, is this, and with you coming back, is this someone I should want to do business with again? I'm sure you thought about that.
Hmm.
How did you get to a place where you could answer that for yourself? That you had gone away
Hmm.
without any notice, without any rhyme or reason, and coming back, how did you, with yourself, reason, would people trust you again?
Well, this is a whole reason for, well, actually, I can't say it's the main reason, but because you asked for this interview. It's like you
Yeah,
said, no, we need to talk about this. We need to
yeah,
talk about all these things. And so, by being open and honest and transparent about who I am, the things that I've gone through, not just in the past year, but the past 25 years, right? With everything that I've dealt with and gone through in business. And I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of us go through things just like I've gone through, and we suffer in silence. we don't feel like there's an outlet, and we feel like, okay, we may feel like a failure, and there's really not a failure. It's a disappointment, at least what I've gone through. It's not, it has nothing to do with failing. It's extreme disappointment with things that have gone on. And so as I talk to entrepreneurs moving forward, especially on the Earl Hall show, which is coming back, it's going to be from my life experience and perspective, not only on how to use tech and how to podcast and stuff like that, but some serious things that entrepreneurs deal with and go through. Because as an entrepreneur, for many of us, and everything is virtual now, even you and I are doing a virtual podcast at the moment, and there's no face-to-face contact, there's no in the same room a lot of times. And so when the camera goes off, you're alone. When the interview stops, you're alone. Okay, how do you, when you feel like you can't reach out to anyone else, how do you get through those tough times and hard times that you have to deal with and go through? Because you will go through them. You know, it's inevitable. And so having friends like yourself, Cyrus, and other people having friends, don't suffer in silence like I did for the past year, right? Talk about these things, because people, but be clear, know who you can talk to, because just because you're friends on social media doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that someone has your best interest at heart. Cyrus, you and I talk a lot about people that claim to be like your friend, but you know they're in it for like money or exposure or something like that, which, you know, like with our friendship, it's like never been involved. It's like we just became friends. And so money never enters the picture, or influence never enters the picture. But you can tell those people that actually have your back. Lean on those people. But here's the thing. Who was it that said, when someone says something or does something, believe them the first time? Right? So if you reach out to someone and then they're actually not there for you, don't reach out to that person again, because something else is going on. But moving forward in business, I feel like, especially, and it's not just after the past year, but the last 25 years, but dealing with issues and problems, I feel like I have so much more value now to be able to talk to someone in a tough situation and walk them through how to actually get through it. Because learning tech and gear and all this stuff and podcasting and video production, that's nothing compared to what people are going on, what's going on inside of people at any given moment. There's so much more going on with that. And I've learned through the years of being a coach and everything else, even hiring a coach for something, we could do a whole show on the manipulation behind the coaching industry and behind people just wanting your money and people just trying to, you know, manipulate you into making a decision based on fear or something like that. I have so much to talk about when it comes to that, because we're inundated with messages online all the time about, you know, how to get 1,000 more subscribers on Instagram, how to get 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, how to, you know, buy this gear, buy this app, and, you know, everything will change in your life. And it's like we're inundated with these types of things. And I drank the Kool-Aid for a long time. I did. This is me personally. And talking with people now, it's like sometimes I really feel like people need to pump the brakes before they take the credit card out. They need to pump the brakes before they buy the, you know, $1,000 microphone. They need to pump the brakes, you know, before they hire someone to actually teach them how to do something, quite honestly, that they've never done before. It's so much that goes on with that. And that's kind of the thing that I know I'll be bringing to the table with the Earl Hall show, with Earl Hall Studio, and everything else that goes into it. It's from a different place than I've ever been before.
Gotcha. Well, for those who don't know, of course, Earl Hall Studio is the hub that is, I mean, the YouTube channel that has over 15,000 subscribers there. That is the base for Earl. Belford Williams Jr. says, thank you for mentioning that some people that fancy themselves as being friends just want a story to tell at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Good point. Studio Place, LA, hello to you. Going to be able to see you over there on IG. Star Treasure, hello to you. I appreciate you all being with us as well. So, Earl, this is a great place for us to segue then to Earl Hall Studio 2024. What can we expect from Earl Hall Studio moving forward?
Well, Earl Hall Studio moving forward. Well, one thing, next week I am launching the Earl Hall show again, starting next Friday. Brand new show, brand new concept to the show. With that, from Earl Hall Studio, it's one of the things that you and I talked about before was no matter what the trouble is that we go through, the skill sets are always still intact. Like the skill sets are still there. So the book trailers, the promo videos, the voiceover, the graphic and design, things of that nature. And I'm going to be having a real focus on podcasting, quite honestly, video and audio podcasting, how to do it, the tools to use, the simplicity of how to do it, which a lot of people may remember my tagline. All you need is a microphone, a camera, and a solution to a problem. You've got a microphone and a camera right here. Even though this is an Apple, I know you Android people, you still have it. And then all you need to bring is your solution to the problem that you're trying to solve for people. So yeah, I see the look on your face, Cyrus.
I'm praying.
So, I mean, the things that I know that I have the ability to do, obviously with the YouTube channel, over 15,000 subscribers, I know how to build an audience, especially on YouTube. And I know how to show people how to do that. And there's a lot of little steps that go into that. And those are the things that I'm going to be talking about, promotional videos and things of that nature to help you promote what it is that, you know, you're trying to promote out there. And a lot of people already know my work, and it's very readily seen at the website and on my YouTube channel, in a playlist for literally almost every promo video, book trailer, commercial I've ever created is right there in my playlist on YouTube. So people know the work and they know the effort that goes into it and the quality.
So you mentioned the Earl Hall show is coming back. You said it's going to be new. In what way will it be different?
What I'm going to be talking about, it's going to have basically two segments to it, where I'm going to be talking about the challenges of being an entrepreneur. That's one of the things I want to talk about, because in many cases, I remember being a much younger entrepreneur. Now I'm a much older entrepreneur in the business. So talking about not only my life experience, but my life experience inside of business and what I've been able to do, and try and help people avoid the pitfalls that I've gone through is going to be a part of that segment. The other segment on the show is going to be related to, okay, this is a tool you can use and this is how you use it, right? This is an app, this is a website, this is a piece of gear, whether it's a microphone, headphone, whatever it is. There's so much that goes into what it is that we'll be talking about, but it'll be a two-part show, maybe about 20, 30 minutes with that. But that's what's going to be brought to light. And a lot of it is really, it's different for me because of the experiences that I've gone through. And I can say in this last year, the hype behind what we all see on social media, you know, I would hinder to, or I wouldn't even want to ask people to raise their hand. Like, how many different apps do you use right now that do the exact same thing, but you just bought it and got a subscription for it because you just believed the hype, right? How much money are you spending on whatever because someone told you if you don't have it, you're going to fail, right? There's a lot of manipulation going on in this industry online. And when I say this industry, I mean the online marketing industry. With that, ironically enough, I had a phone call today. This was so funny. I had a guy call me and say that I was about to be arrested. This is true. I was about to be arrested because I had signed a affidavit or something to show up in court and I didn't show. And it was a federal case and I was called as a witness. I didn't show up. And so I'm listening to this guy talk and he's like giving me all these numbers and you know, case numbers and things of that nature. And he's saying you have two options. Basically, if you come in and sign it, you know, we'll compare your signature. You say you didn't sign. That's like, no, I haven't signed anything. We'll compare it. And then if it's not a match, then everything's fine. But if it is a match, you'll immediately be arrested. So I need you to say whether you're innocent or guilty. As far as that goes, I didn't say anything. I basically said, well, I didn't sign anything. And anyway, long story short, he was calling from my county. He said he was calling from my county sheriff's department in North Carolina. So I was supposed to go to the bank. The bond was $2,500. I had to pay $2,500. Now I couldn't hang up the phone, and I had to go to the bank while he's on the phone, do all this stuff. So I have two phones. So he called me on my old phone, which is still on. So he said I couldn't hang up. So I said, well, I got to go take a shower. He goes, well, don't hang up the phone. Just leave it on. I left the room, called my county sheriff's department, told them what was happening because he said I couldn't call an attorney or a lawyer. Anyway, she laughed. The actual sheriff on the phone laughed and said, can I speak to him? So I just put it on speaker. The guy wound hanging up because it was a scam. And I felt it was a scam, right? The reason I tell that story is because these are the same types of tactics that I see marketers use online, which are fear and act now. It was almost the same type of thing that I see. And it was just so funny that this happened to me today. And obviously I wasn't scammed. I felt very early that it was a scam. That's why I did what I did by actually calling the sheriff's department. You know, he gave me a false name. He gave me a officer number and all that kind of stuff, but something wasn't quite right. And so many times I think people online, they buy things or they hire coaches based on fear, and you watch and consume so much of the same coach or coaches, and you start believing that they have the answer because you're in a bubble now, because now that's all you're looking at and consuming is that. And this is part of what I want to bring to the Earl Hall show is, whether you want to call it exposing what I know about it, because I've been in that coaching field. I've worked in coaching arenas. I know how they operate, and I know what they do to actually get the credit card. And it is literally psychological training that goes on to manipulate people into making a decision right now on the phone to spend $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 right now by whipping out your credit card. Now you think that's crazy? People do it every day.
Well, it gives us something to look forward to, Earl, when it comes to the Earl Hall show, what they can expect as far as content. As you mentioned, though, your services, those can all be found on your website as well. So, Earl, let them know the new website for Earl Hall Studio and how they can be able to find out more information about those services and connect with you.
Sure. It's just earlhall.studio. That's the web address, earlhall.studio. Information is there from pricing to the services that we provide. You'll see all the prices. They're right there in the open. Nothing is hidden. It's right there. If you want to talk to me, you're able to do that. If you want consulting, it's $97 an hour. If you want consulting, you can sign up for that on the website. I have a wait list right now that you can sign up for. I'm going to be launching a new course actually called Podcast Pro, where we're going to be going through things. And you'll see on the website at earlhall.studio exactly what Podcast Pro is all about. There's a link at the top on the website for Podcast Pro. So just check that out. And also for the Earl Hall show, links there as well for the coming show starting next Friday.
All right. A great conversation with you, Earl. And Earl was under some weird impression that I was going to act in a way that would be, appropriate.
You see him trying to be innocent again, right?
I'm not trying. This is just me. I'm from Mississippi. What do you expect, Miss Chris?
Oh boy.
This is who I am. I don't know what y'all expect. I know y'all are leery of people. But this is just me. But no, Earl, this has been a great conversation. How did you feel about the conversation?
Oh, very good. But we knew this was you and I mean, we have that chemistry anyway. Having the relationship that we've had for over a decade at this point. So no, this was good. Thank you for the platform, the opportunity for us to share, our story with what happened between you and I, and also the opportunity to just talk about my next moves and what it is that I'll be doing. So thank you for that. Definitely appreciate it. And all the people that listen to this, especially, those that have watched live on Instagram and Facebook and wherever else, and also the people that'll watch the recording of the show. Anyone can get in contact with me through DMs on Instagram or Facebook, and it's just at Earl Hall Studio.
Yeah. and we put the website there for those on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. So, Earl, definitely looking forward to our next conversation together. And we do thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care.